¿Y con quién quiere combatir Ilia Topuria?
Yo, mira, pues tengo a Paddy en la mente. Me gustaría pelear con Paddy si es que no me dejan subir en peso welter para pelear con Islam, porque el combate que realmente me gustaría tener es en contra de Islam en la tercera categoría. Pero bueno, vamos a ver, a lo mejor hago un combate.
Думаю, это должно быть слишком хорошее предложение, чтобы я опять начал вес гонять 70 килограмм, так как я уже не молодой тоже в этом виде спорта, и каждая весогонка забирает тоже годы здоровья, и уже не так легко, как раньше вес гонять.
The back and forth around Ilia versus Islam just keeps getting louder. And now the real suspense isn't only if it happens, it's where and when. Every new hint from the UFC and the fighters themselves turns the spotlight up a notch. Fans are firing off theories, and analysts are circling dates and locations, wondering whether it'll actually occur too. Because if this clash lands, it won't just be another headline, it'll be the moment the whole sport holds its breath.
I'm a little surprised that Islam getting a victory, and in the absence of Topuria fighting at all, I'm not quite sure how we flip-flopped. I think that maybe the committee owes us an explanation. The more appropriate explanation is we never should have taken Islam out of number one to begin with, but they did. That was the choice that they did, and once they did it, I don't know what their argument for getting that back is. Just by example, the next guy that beats Jack, does I expect him to be at number one? No. Do I expect Jack to be at number two? No. Then how does beating Jack get you to number one and get you in front of Ilia without throwing a single punch at Ilia? Like, this is the day-old's argument. This is nothing new. But I like Nate's point, and I do understand his point.
And Ilia Topuria is already eyeing something bigger than a simple title defense. He's talking about a showdown with Islam Makhachev under its own special banner. He hinted that he might take one more fight first, but by summer, he expects the UFC to open the door for a move toward welterweight. And if that path isn't cleared, he floated an even wilder idea, a catchweight clash built around a brand new pound-for-pound crown, a custom belt created just for a meeting between him and Islam.
Dana White apretando, diciendo, a ver, a mí me gustaría que peleara Ilia Topuria en el primer trimestre de 2026. Hay nuevo contrato con Paramount y quieren poner a las mayores estrellas.
Sí, eso lo dijo.
Dijo, le preguntaron concretamente en una rueda de prensa y le dijeron, ¿puede ser, hay probabilidades de que Ilia Topuria pelee en enero? Y dijo, hay probabilidades.
Bueno, de momento la verdad que no he tenido ningún tipo de acercamiento de parte de la UFC. No me han dicho nada sobre ningún combate, así que no tengo nada en el horizonte. Me puedo intuir cosas, como siempre, y también depende de mí, ¿no? Con quién quiera combatir, y al final se ponen los intereses de las dos partes y a ver lo que se cuece.
¿Y con quién quiere combatir Ilia Topuria?
Yo, mira, pues tengo a Paddy en la mente. Me gustaría pelear con Paddy si es que no me dejan subir en peso welter para pelear con Islam, porque el combate que realmente me gustaría tener es en contra de Islam en la tercera categoría. Pero bueno, vamos a ver, a lo mejor hago un combate y después en verano hay alguna fecha en la que sí que me dejen subir de categoría y pueda pelear por el tercer cinturón, o se cree un nuevo cinturón llamado el Pound for Pound en un peso pactado en donde nos encontramos los dos y peleamos por ese cinturón de libra por libra. Así que vamos a ver, hay muchísimas opciones.
On the other side of this potential super fight, Islam Makhachev isn't exactly rushing to meet Ilia on lightweight terms. He's been upfront that cutting back down to 155 isn't the same as it used to be. The wear, the age, the toll on his body all make that drop a different battle now. If the UFC wants him there, it'll take a serious offer to justify the grind. So whether this clash happens at 155, 170, or somewhere in between, Islam's made one thing clear: the weight and the payday have to be right.
Ислам, если UFC тебя попросят провести бой с Илией Топурией в 70 килограмм, согласишься ли, или теперь только 77?
70, я думаю, это должно быть слишком хорошее предложение, чтобы я опять начал вес гонять 70 килограмм, так как я уже не молодой тоже в этом виде спорта, и каждая весогонка забирает тоже годы здоровья, и уже не так легко, как раньше вес гонять.
Islam's mindset makes even more sense when you hear what he admitted about his jump to welterweight. Looking back, he wishes he'd made that move sooner. As he climbed from the rankings to the championship, he kept convincing himself to stay at 155. But once he finally tested himself up a division, he realized he wasn't giving anything away in size. He was actually right there, perfectly matched. That taste of fighting on equal physical terms made him rethink all those brutal cuts he forced on himself for years, leaving him wondering why he didn't step up long before.
Скажи, каково это быть чемпионом, двойным чемпионом, насколько это была желанная для тебя цель? Вообще, видел ли ты себя в начале карьеры в UFC, что ты именно вот на второй пояс пойдешь?
Нет, конечно, если. Только когда в начале карьеры я пришел, просто мечтал в топ-15 попасть, мечтал с лучшими драться. Потом потихоньку уже, как попал в топ-15, в топ-10, пояс завоевал. И потом уже по весу я чувствовал, что я могу весовую категорию подняться, поднять вес правильно. И всегда думал, буду себя там комфортно чувствовать, что не придется столько веса гонять. И так и получилось. В последнем бою я не меньше соперника был в таких же физических кондициях, были на равных. Все условия были равны, и даже немного было сожалений, что почему я раньше не поднялся в весовую категорию, а столько времени гонял столько веса.
When it comes to opinions, Nate Diaz jumped in with his usual unfiltered take, shrugging off the idea of Islam being the pound-for-pound king and brushing him aside as a dull, unexciting fighter. In classic Nate fashion, he didn't hold back, making it clear he's not buying the hype and doesn't see anything elite about a style he considers sleep-inducing, and instead he favors Ilia for that position.
In your opinion, who's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter right now in the UFC?
Who's in the UFC right now?
Topuria guy is good at 55. Guy at 70. Islam's good at 70.
John Jones for sure.
Yeah, John Jones, but I don't think anymore. Jones is like the OG legend. Topuria guy's good at 55.
What about Islam?
They just throw that shit. They just throw shit out like that. Like, he's been here for like 2 minutes and he ain't beat nobody that's great.
Oh.
I feel like you have to have a long span of period.
The best lightweight ever was BJ Penn. BJ Penn would beat Matt Hughes, GSP.
Floor people would just walk.
Did he beat GSP? No, he beat his ass.
Yeah, I think he lost.
Yeah, I think he was like. So when you get that shit like that, and you got whatever Islam did, and it's like that don't even match like what. Not that he can't be and won't be, yo.
No, he is good.
But just not right now, you don't.
But you're just gonna go at him, motherfucker, when you fucking just shut up on the scene.
Yeah, I think you have to look at someone's
Hayward could be.
career.
They both, and they think I'm fucking just hating, but I'm like, that's because we got our differences. But there's shit that I seen that I'll just remember forever, and. That's goat shit, and I ain't seen nothing from them motherfuckers at all. I can't even remember anything but getting bored in all them fools' last fight. So that name shouldn't even been thrown at those guys.
And now that he's settled into welterweight, Islam's eyes seem locked on that division and not on Ilia. After watching the chaos unfold at UFC Qatar, he said there are 3 or 4 standout contenders who make real sense for him next. He then went to point out how stacked and lively the welterweight scene is right now. In other words, his focus is on the sharks in his own ocean and some outside, while Ilia, who is busy talking catchweights and custom belts, barely cracks his radar at all.
Самым опасным соперником в полусреднем весе.
Самым опасным? На моем турнире дрались 2 ребят, оба выиграли бои досрочно, оба молодые, хорошо заканчивают бои. Но у нас сейчас дивизион, я думаю, самый активный, самый молодой, где самые такие конкурентные бои. Я думаю, UFC в ближайшее время определит. И вчера был хороший бой. Бывший чемпион дрался с молодым парнем, и я думаю, у нас сейчас есть минимум 3-4 претендента, и в ближайшее время, наверное, уже недели 2 будет ясно, кто будет следующим претендентом.
And while the talk keeps circling around Islam, Daniel Cormier threw a curveball straight at Ilia's fan base, and it came in the shape of Arman Tsarukyan. DC said if Islam is now operating at welterweight, then the 2 most dangerous lightweights alive are Arman and Ilia, no debate needed. And if there's anyone in that division who can mirror Islam's suffocating style and make Ilia's night a nightmare, Cormier claims it's Arman, the one guy built to give him the same kind of problems.
I think Paddy Pimblett's fun. I think Paddy Pimblett has a bright future in fighting, but I believe that the 2 best lightweights in the world, if Islam Makhachev is now the welterweight champion, It's Arman Tsarukyan and Ilia Topuria, bro. And that's not even in question anymore. I thought that Paddy Pimblett getting in the octagon after Ilia won the belt was, to me, it was a little bit odd because I didn't feel like him beating Michael Chandler should have warranted him being in that spot. I thought that the biggest issue would be trying to do away with the images of Paddy in the cage with Ilia after he became the champion. But then when you watch Arman Tsarukyan last weekend, bro, he's big, he's strong, he can really wrestle, he can strike, he can do just about everything, and his top control is what's a real issue. And I believe that's the problem. That's the scary thought for anyone that are Ilia Topuria fans. Because if there's anyone that could replicate that game of Makhachev, or at least to a degree, Arman Tsarukyan.
Moreover, Chael Sonnen makes it clear who stands out. Arman Tsarukyan is the undisputed #1 contender instead of Islam for Ilia. Sonnen leans on Dana White's words, the official rankings, and even Hooker's recent loss to back up that claim. The only lingering question, he says, is whether Ilia Topuria will defend his lightweight title in January on Paramount. If that holds, Arman is healthy, ready, and clearly positioned as the next challenger in Sonnen's eyes.
Tsarukyan is clearly the #1 contender. I know that because Dana White said whoever wins this bout is the #1 contender, of which Tsarukyan won. I know that because Dan Hooker just might be my favorite fighter and got beat. As a matter of fact, he got finished. And I know that because the rankings, which come out every morning, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., all have Tsarukyan as #1. So, if Tsarukyan takes that spot, right, and a lot of what I just told you is all fact, not opinion. There's one piece of this that is opinion and is not yet fact, which is that Ilia Topuria will be defending the lightweight championship of the world in January on Paramount. If that date is not true, then we don't need to speed this story up. We can all just take our time. And in the process of taking our time, it's going to make the case stronger and stronger for Tsarukyan. If Tsarukyan can turn it around quickly, which he did not appear to be dealing with an injury, it appears that Tsarukyan could definitely make it to the arena.
Building on the narrative that Ilia isn't ready for Islam, Kamaru Usman doesn't see any upside for Islam in a fight against Ilia at welterweight. In his view, it's a risk-heavy move with little reward. Usman points out that Ilia stepping up wouldn't suddenly make him the welterweight king, so Islam wouldn't gain much, but a loss could sting badly, leaving him labeled as the guy who fell to a featherweight. It's a cautionary take that frames the potential clash as far more dangerous than beneficial.
Do you foresee Ilia Topuria coming up to welterweight, potentially winning the title and staying and just defending against welterweights?
No.
No, we don't see that.
don't.
You know, and he's just growing into the lightweight division. And so we don't see that. Of course, it would be just for what? To make a humongous fight for the company, a big fight for the company.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the thing is just for that. It's for the entertainment purpose of that fight happening. But in that case, what does Islam have to gain from that? Islam just put the work in and grew into this division and went out there and dominated the current champion. What does he gain from fighting Ilia Topuria, who was a featherweight, moved up to lightweight, and now moving up to welterweight? Really nothing to gain except all to lose. If something goes wrong and you lose, you lost to a featherweight. You know? So, listen, I think Ilia Topuria is extremely talented, and if they don't go with me and they go with him, I'm not, I don't want to say I won't be disappointed, but I'm not going to be upset. As a fan of the sport, of course I would watch that.
And if this fight between Islam and Ilia ever comes to life, the debate doesn't stop with risks and rankings. Experts already have their predictions lined up, each weighing styles, strengths, and past performances to call who might come out on top. Starting with Jamahal Hill isn't holding back on his confidence in Ilia Topuria's tools. He believes Ilia has the speed, striking craft, and knockout power to catch even someone like Islam off guard. Hill points out that while size might limit him at higher weights, the way Ilia lands his shots can make even bigger opponents wobble, a testament to just how dangerous his striking can be when it connects. Building on Jamahal Hill's take on Ilia's striking, John Blachowicz adds another perspective. He agrees it would be an electrifying fight to watch, but he also stresses just how dominant Islam is right now. In his eyes, Islam is in his prime, nearly unstoppable, and at the top of his game, making any potential clash with Ilia a true test for the rising contender. Carlos Prates breaks it down with a more measured view, putting the fight at nearly even, maybe 50-50, or slightly in Islam's favor at 60-40. He praises Islam's all-around game, from striking to grappling, but notes the real question is whether Ilia can sustain his attack over 5 rounds against someone as well-rounded and tough as Islam. According to Prates, it won't just be about moments of brilliance. Endurance and consistency will likely decide the outcome. Building on Carlos Prates' point about endurance and versatility, Chase Hooper adds that Islam's game has only gotten sharper. He highlights how the new generation of Dagestani fighters, including Islam and Umar, are far more well-rounded than Khabib's era, blending striking and grappling seamlessly. Even considering Ilia's threats, Hooper still leans toward Islam as the likely winner, underscoring just how tough this matchup would be. Eddie Cha flips the spotlight to Ilia, highlighting why he's one of his favorite fighters to watch. Cha points out how Ilia, once primarily a grappler back in Brave CF, has quickly developed striking skills and mastered distance and timing. While size and grappling remain potential hurdles, Cha believes Ilia's growth and versatility give him a real shot in this clash. Austin Vanderford adds another strong nod for Ilia, acknowledging just how tough it is to go up against the Dagestani wave, especially a fighter like Islam, one of the pound-for-pound best. But Vanderford points out what makes Ilia special, his boxing, wrestling, and methodical approach. He notes that Ilia rarely even throws head or body kicks in the UFC, yet his precision and ability to process the fight in real time make him dangerous. In Vanderford's eyes, it only takes one clean shot from Ilia to turn the tide, and he wouldn't be surprised to see Ilia pull it off. So what do you think? Will this long-teased clash between Ilia and Islam actually materialize? Or are fresh contenders stepping into the spotlight first? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more fight updates and analysis.